So, hello. As you may have seen, we are doing something a bit different with this one. We're basically talking about Fatigue, and specifically comments made by James Cameron saying he hopes that Avengers Fatigue sets in, because there are other kinds of films that aren't just macho men flexing their muscles and destroying everything.
I still find it ironic that James Cameron said that.
Well, this is the same person that said, don't watch Wonder Woman, watch my characters because they're better.
Yeah, true.
And that Wonder Woman was a step back.
Yeah, don't go to the film directed by a woman and watch a women on there. No,
I understand women better than women do.
Yeah, this is the same person. Now, we had two versions of the podcast that you've not heard because we've never released them, where I basically go off on James Cameron because I think he's a knob.
I don't think he likes him very much.
I really don't. I think he's an
Get that impression.
He is such an egotistical little so-and-so that I just can't. His films are crap. I'm sorry. Titanic, it's all about the spectacle. Same with Avatar.
Yeah.
It's the actual stories are pathetic. His earlier work with like Terminator and Aliens are debatably more interesting.
They are.
But it's the stuff with his big budgets that I can't be bothered. And he's saying we want to see different films. This is coming from the person that is making 4 Avatar films over the next 3 years, 4 years, however long, that nobody asked for.
Nobody asked for it.
8 years too late.
Nobody's going to go see, I don't really think, to be honest.
No, I'm not going to go watch him.
I'm not.
I'm on principle not going to go watch it because I think he's a...
When it comes out,
don't get your hopes up for an Avatar 2 review because we're not going to be doing one by the sounds of it.
When Avatar 2 is in cinemas, I'm just going to buy more Marvel films. Yeah. Just because...
Avatar Fatigue has set in. Avatar Fatigue set in in 2008, I think.
2009.
2009, anyway.
Yeah.
I think the other thing you might be upset about is that he's got the 2 highest grossing films of all time.
Yeah.
And no one seems to care.
Nobody cares, and it's threatening that record that he has. Threatening it.
Well, as it stands, Avengers. We're recording this a week after Avengers has come out, or the week after it's just come out. So it's currently standing, according to Box Office Mojo, worldwide, 650 million, with an opening weekend of 260, but near 260 million. Beating the last record that was held by Force Awakens. So if it keeps the question is that with Infinity War, if it has people coming back week after week after week, it could easily hit that. The ones that you're looking at are stuff like Titanic, that Avatar, and Force Awakens. So they didn't have a lot of competition. This year, there's stuff chugging around the corner. In the next week, we get Deadpool, and 2 weeks after that, we get the Han Solo film.
Is it next week, Deadpool?
Deadpool comes out next week.
Oh, I didn't even realise that it's that soon.
Yeah, Deadpool comes out next week.
I have a feeling it might not do as well as
I've got a feeling it might be a bit bad, this one, to be honest with you.
But I just don't think... I think it won't be Avengers Fatigue. People generally won't be like, what? It's out. How long was it out?
Yeah, you've got this big box office juggernaut.
That's not going away.
Yeah,
it's not going anywhere.
I think, for something like Han Solo, I think they'll call it a win if they break even.
Yeah.
But let's get back to the fatigue thing. The whole idea that people are getting tired of it is...
And he turns around and has the nerve to turn around and say there are other stories to do. There are other stories to do in the MCU. There's a crap ton of them.
What's the last film that James Cameron has made?
Avatar. Avatar is the last film.
He's literally not done anything.
He's not done anything since. He did The Abyss, which came out at the same time as Avatar, but he was a producer on that one. He wasn't a director.
That was him. That's just his hobby.
Yeah,
It's not,
the last film that he's actually credited as directing is Avatar.
Well,
Because he's been busy working on the technology that he's going to need for the next 4.
born in Canada.
So,
worst Canadian ever.
really, Bieber, we're putting him worse than Bieber.
Yes.
Yeah, eh?
Yes. Bieber didn't do Titanic.
Yeah, so this whole thing annoys me and it's this preconception that comics or comic book movies can't tell adult stories.
Yeah, it is this whole thing of you can't have interesting characters, you can't have depth in what you're watching, but you clearly can.
Yeah, look at something like Logan, which has changed the way that we look at comic movies. Something like Deadpool, where it's a comedy, but with the exterior of a superhero film. You've got something like Guardians of the Galaxy, which is a space opera, but it's a comic book film.
Yeah.
Now, if you told somebody off the street, you put them in front of Guardians of the Galaxy, who's never heard of it, never watched one of the films, and you ask them, is this a comic book film or is this a space opera film? They'll say space opera.
Yeah.
So that kind of thinking is outdated. And then let's not overlook the fact that comics are have some of the most interesting things. You've got something like The Dark Knight Returns. Which is
I'm thinking Killing Joke right now.
Killing Joke, but then
my mind.
At the same time, you've got something like Persepolis and Mouse, which are 2 really, really strong graphic novels that deal with very serious subject matter.
It needs to. You are right. Life has changed, and people's perception of things have changed, and people's perspective of comic books have changed, and anything geeky is now cool.
Yeah.
And it's the older generation, I find, and people that are a bit more set in their ways who are refusing to accept that comic book movies can be good and can be completely different to what you expect them to be. That we're not in the 80s anymore. We're not having David Hasselhoff as Nick Fury. That's not how it works anymore. These things actually have detail and depth. You turn around and these same people are also the same type of people who will mock someone who says that video games are for children.
Yeah.
And they'll mock them for saying that, but then also mock us for say that, yes, but comic book movies are for children. But
they're not.
I think, James Cameron's he's obsessed with technology, but I think he's missed the boat a little bit with technology, because since his films have come out, we've had Lord of the Rings fly by, I think.
Hobbit.
No, that was before.
Hobbit. Lord of the Rings was before Avatar.
Yeah. Cool. And then because Lord of the Rings happened while he was then, we've got Hobbit that's gone through. We've had all the Harry Potters, and he was at the beginning of this cultural change to this new industry, and he's kind of maybe he's been reinforcing it from behind the scenes, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no,
he's never he's never really made an impact into pop culture in the slightest. Like if I was looking just then at his list of films he's made, and he's just been he's last thing he's done is Terminator 2, but the Terminator franchise hasn't been good
since Terminator 2.
So that's dead. You've got The Abyss. He was on Aliens.
He directed Aliens.
Yeah.
Not Alien.
No, not Alien.
So another franchise which has been a bit...
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Aliens is like the last good Alien film.
There are more...
I hate myself. I hate myself. I didn't just say that.
The last thing he's actually... Well, to cheer you up. One of the last things he actually has been officially directed is Turok, The First Flight.
Never heard of it.
Which is a Avatar to straight to TV film.
Really?
Yeah.
There was
Jesus Christ, there's photos. Why are there photos? What is this?
What a straight to TV
Cirque du Soleil, inspired by James Cameron's film.
So that's the thing. He's
oh god, that's hilarious.
It's just people painting painted blue.
This hurts me on so many levels.
This is brilliant.
That's his problem. He's outdated. He's not a part of this cultural zeitgeist, and he's a bit, for lack of a
miffed about it.
Yeah, and he's taking his anger out on the wrong place, because again, last year with his Wonder Woman comments, it looked like he was essentially saying, "Don't watch Wonder Woman, watch my films because I know what I'm talking about. Women don't know what they want."
Yeah.
And
now all it screams, this Avengers Fatigue thing screams, is stop going to watch their films, watch my films.
Yeah.
Watch it, watch what I've done. Don't go watch that.
And the answer is you haven't done anything in the whole space and time that the Infinity War saga has happened.
Yeah.
The last thing he did was 2009, which is technically at the beginning of the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
So he has no right to...
sat it all out.
Also at the same time, when Force Awakens beat his thing, he didn't kick up a fuss. I think it's because it's a Star Wars thing and he's mates with George Lucas. But then he came out and said, well, they don't know what they're doing with Star Wars, which is...
I think I've come up with an idea of what actually might be going on in James Cameron's head. And this might be the way that he actually funds films. And the idea of he sits there going, what idea do I have? I really like boats. I really want to go on an expedition to go to the Titanic. And I know. I've got an idea for a film. And could you fund it so that I can make the film and go go to the Titanic and do all this and go on boats and stuff? Okay, well, we haven't got anything going on at the moment, so yeah, why not? Let's invest in it.
Yeah.
And then he makes a good film to cover up the fact he just realised going looking at boats.
The only problem with that is it requires James Cameron to have an original idea.
My point is,
I do get your point.
He only invests in he only invests in stuff when he knows that the pop culture, when the time's right. Yeah. And he's done these two films at times where not much has been going on and people have kind of been bored enough to invest in him. And so he's been doing that. And after Avatar, I was like, brilliant. I'm just going to sit down and enjoy myself with a few of my activities, like going in boats and all sorts of fun things. And then suddenly something will dry up. The film circuit will dry up and I'll get more money to go in boat.
Out of my boat.
Yeah.
It'll be dry.
See, I just came up with a piece of merch. We get a picture.
Metaphor.
We get a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Just says, I'm going to go on my boat, James Cameron. If we ever open up a merch store, that's what we are doing.
But the problem is
just James Cameron rowing a little canoe. Look at all the pop culture I'm rowing in.
The problem is he's been rowing in that for 9 years because he's been waiting for the opportunity to get out of his boat and make a film. But the problem is that's never going to happen.
Here's the thing. Look at what you've got. The way that I always judge pop culture is by Halloween. If you go and you look at Halloween, look at how many people are dressed up as certain characters. So if you go out next Halloween, you'll see loads of people dressed as Black Panther, Iron Man, all of these. You still see people dressed up as Heath Ledger's Joker. You still see people dressed up as Superman, Batman, the Terminator. You'll get a couple of people dressed up as It. But
nobody blues up.
Nobody dresses up as a Navi, as you point out.
No.
So that is...
I've never blew myself.
The only time I blew hard was when I was being a Smurf.
I bet you blew very hard that day.
Yeah, well, Smurf it.
Right, before Ewan's head explodes.
Yeah. So
you're right. I've never seen it.
The point is that we are
Stop it.
We're breaking down into chaos.
Well, James Cameron is
David Cameron's film.
Yeah. James Cameron is just. Well, I have to respect the fact that he's made films. His career consists of the two films which are currently top grossing worldwide. Yeah. However, I reckon that the thing that might be frustrating him the most is that his residual checks are getting smaller.
Yeah, they're getting smaller, and he's having that record threatened, and he's
and I don't think he cares about the record more than those residual checks. The reason why he hasn't made any films is because he's still getting that money in. He's still going on. He's got enough money to carry on going on his boat.
Yep.
And that's what
I bought a new boat.
The real question is I think, is how people are going to react to Avatar 2. Because I think personally, people will go, oh, Avatar 2. The second one will do all right, and then it'll be like Fast and the Furious, or dare I say it on this podcast, the Twilight Saga, where with every single one, they all get kind of worse and they all kind of make less money.
Yeah.
And
I honestly, though, when Avatar came out, it was quite a big deal when it came out, and I remember going to see it a couple of times. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
But this second one coming out, I honestly don't know if people are going to care.
Now, here's me asking you a question.
Yeah.
Did you go watch Avatar for the spectacle, or did you go watch it for the story?
Oh, no, I went to go watch it because it looked beautiful.
Exactly. Same with Titanic.
I watched it twice because it looked incredible.
This is going back. If you look at it now, it looks god awful.
Oh no! If you look at it now, it looks like an animation. SpongeBob looks more realistic than Avatar.
So that is ultimately his problem. Yeah. He can't do really good, compelling story. The last good, compelling story that I think he did was The Terminator or Aliens. His early work, because it's him grinding and he's putting that effort in. Once he got to the point about True Lies, where he's kind of
not about True Lies.
He's kind of bought into the myth that is James Cameron.
Yeah,
he's so full of himself that he's therefore says, "Yes, look at me, peons. I am James Cameron. Worship me as the filmic god I am."
And he just rows in.
Yeah, rows in.
Just
on his boat.
On his boat.
Well, his problem is this filmic god's got another competitor, and he thinks of himself like Spielberg, but what he really needs to compare himself is to Kevin Feige. When you compare the two, you can see, I made 2 good films. I am a god of film. Oh, don't worry. Oh, that's impressive. I've made 18, and most of them are breaking records. So I'm just going to go dance on my pile of money that's similar size to yours, and yours looks like it's
yeah. I think most of it is his ego's bruised and he's lashing out like
I feel like his ego has been bruised, and that's where all this has come from.
James Cameron should have made Ready Player One. That should have been his, because that would have been the perfect film for him.
Yes,
a film that's already written, problem solved, the plot line, and it needed his. I think it needed his technology behind it to you could have really pushed that film to be something of another level.
Yeah,
even if he collaborated with Spielberg, that'd been even better. But just that type of film should have been his comeback. That should have been his.
Yeah, I think.
But we don't care, do we? No, we don't care.
No,
he's on his boat.
The idea that he's angry at comic books films is really ironic, because in the 90s he was trying to make Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And he had some of these insane ideas, which I think we've talked about elsewhere.
Yeah.
So I think
I'm still jaded, isn't he?
Yeah. My general point with him is just go away. Nobody cares about your films. Nobody cares about your 4 Avatar films. You did a couple maybe in the early 90s, late 80s, and that is why we remember you.
Yeah. Actually, no. Make them. Put all of your money into them. Really work half hard at it.
After you've bought a new boat.
Yeah, after the boat, more boats, more important.
Boat first.
Spend more time on your boat.
Yeah.
But really work hard at Avatar, and then see the 3 people and what they think of the film when they turn up.
Yeah, and don't lie about Terminator anymore. He said Terminator Jenny Smith was going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And then it was just...
He's thinking of making another one of them as well.
Yeah, he's making another one with the guy who directed Deadpool 1.
No.
And that's supposedly coming out in 2020, 2019.
Oh, no.
So...
Good luck to him.
Yeah.
He's going the way of Ridley Scott.
So write down what you think of all these comments. Just
tell us.
Tell us what you think.
Tell us.
So
tell us.
On that note, we'll see you around.
Tell me. If you do see James Cameron, ask him how his boat is.
Oh yeah, tell him how his boat is.